mat and start with the feet hip width apart and the knees are soft, okay? So we're gonna start stretching the different parts of the body. So we're gonna start with the head. You're looking up towards the ceiling, looking down towards the floor, look straight ahead, look towards your right, look towards your left, and then try to touch the ear towards the shoulder and the other side. And now roll the shoulders back, and we're gonna do it one more time. Looking down towards the floor, roll the shoulders back. Looking up towards the ceiling, look straight ahead, look towards your right and towards your left, and then try to touch the ear towards the shoulder and the other side. And then bring the chin towards the right shoulder, drop the chin to the chest and start making a semicircles with the chin so you're coming to the left shoulder. And then drop the chin again and come back to the right shoulder. Roll the shoulders back, and we're gonna do it one more time. A little bit slower so that you can basically start feeling a little bit of a stretch onto the neck. So very gently starting to go from the right shoulder to the left, and then dropping the chin again, rolling the shoulders back and going back from the left shoulder onto the right. Loads of tightness in my neck. So now bring the shoulders up towards the ears and drop them back. Bring the shoulders up and back, and the other direction. So from the back you're bringing them forward, forward and forward. I'm very stiff this morning. So now bring your arm forward and then back, forward and back. Make sure you're muting yourself, please, because otherwise you're gonna come up on to the sound of the class. And then make sure you can pin me into the big screen. So you're clicking into my image, bottom left corner of my image, and then there's 3 dots. We're gonna do the other direction with the arm. There's 3 dots, you're clicking on that dots and you're pinning me in there. Make sure you're muting yourself, please. We can ask questions at the end of the class, okay? And then bring your left arm up from the front and back, front and back. And the other direction, so from the back you're coming forward. Start with small circles and make the circle bigger and bigger. And then lift the right arm up, support it at the upper arm with your left hand and bring it across the body, dropping that right shoulder. And then you're taking that arm behind your back, almost as if you're doing your bra straps if you're a woman, or if you're trying to reach as far up the back as you can with the palm facing away from you. And drop the arm. We're gonna do it on the other side. Lift the left arm up, support it with the right hand on the upper arm, bring it across the body, drop the shoulder. And bring it behind you, palms facing away from you, sliding up the back. And drop the arm, hands on the hips, knees are soft. Start making little circles with the hips, clockwise to start with. Making the circles bigger and bigger. Keeping the knees nice and soft so you're not locking them. And then we're gonna start with small circles anti-clockwise and go bigger and bigger. Okay, and then hands on the inside, you're bending forward, you're placing the hands on the inside of the knees. Make sure you're sucking the belly in so you're protecting the lower back. Start rubbing the inside of the knees, then the front of the knees, the sides of the knees and the back of the knees. And then hands just up on the top of the thighs, and then you start circling the knees inward and then circling them outward. Okay, and then come back up, you're stretching the right toes, and then you're making circles with the ankle. So try to make the movement on the ankle, not on the leg, okay? And then you're circling it the other direction. And then stretch the left toes. And then when you're ready, start circling the ankle and the other direction. Okay, so come to the top of the mat. We're gonna do the mountain pose. Now make sure you can grab hold of pillows. Quite a few pillows that you need for the second part of the class for sure. A block and a belt, okay? So you come into the top of the mat, big toes are touching, and you're distributing the weight so it's in the middle of the feet, so you're not leaning too much on the front, neither on the heels. Now pull the kneecaps up. Now you will want to start engaging the core muscles. So you're tilting the pelvis under until you're feeling this tightness into the lower abdominals and you're feeling your anal sphincter contracted. Suck the belly in, so you're trying to bring the belly button towards the spine. Open the chest, tuck the chin under, so you're feeling a slight restriction on the back of the throat. Hands either side of the legs, palms, fingers pointing down towards the floor. You're looking straight ahead. So feel this activation of the whole body, and also that the core muscle is engaged as you're standing up. Obviously these are transferable skills, so when you're standing you're also aiming to do that all the time. So you're contracting the legs, the glutes are slightly contracted, and you're keeping upright by keeping the core muscles. Place your hands in front of your chest. First of all, the one hand on your chest, the other hand on the lower abdomen. And keeping your eyes open, you start engaging with the breath. So when you're inhaling, you're trying to puff up the hand that is on the lower abdomen. So you're trying to puff up the belly. And as you exhale, you're trying to bring the hand back towards the spine. On the inhale, you're puffing up the hand on the lower abdomen, and on the exhale you're bringing the belly towards the spine. And now start breathing through the nose only. Lengthen the breath, so it's the same length on the inhale as it is on the exhale. You're aiming to have inhaling to the count of 5, exhaling to the count of 5, so we can start engaging the vagus nerve and activating that, so that you can start relaxing the body just through the breathing. And make sure you're having nice and long breath while I'm reading to you the disclaimer. So when participating in any exercise or exercise program, there is the possibility of physical injury. If you voluntarily engage in this class, you agree that you do so at your own risk and assume all risk of injury to yourself. Okay, now bring your hands in front of your chest. Close your eyes for a second and set an intention for today's practice. Also, just pay extra careful attention that when we're doing the second part of the class, you're going to be kind to yourself and you're not going to push yourself to the edge of your range of movement. You're just going to allow the body to surrender to the pose and to allowing it to open up. So just be kind to yourself today. Don't push yourself too much. Open your eyes. We're going to do 3 sun salutations. The first one we're going to do together on a very basic level, and then the other 2 you can do it at your own pace and at your own level, okay? Inhale, bring your hands up towards the ceiling, look up at the hands, suck the belly in. On the exhale, you're folding forward at the hips, so you're pushing your bum out and you're trying to keep your abdominals contracted as you're bringing your hands either on the shin, the ankles, or the mat. On the next inhale, press through the hands, look forward, lengthen the spine. Exhale, bend the knees, hands on the mat, step the right leg out into a lunge. left leg to meet it into a high plank. On the next inhale, we'll set in the plank. We're bringing the shoulders above the wrist. We're pushing the heels away from us. Engaging the front of the thighs, squeezing the glutes, suck the belly in, squeezing the shoulder blades together. Exhale, knees to the floor, leading with the chest, rubbing the elbows by your sides. You're bringing your chest down to the floor, top of the feet on the mat, hands underneath the shoulders. On the next inhale, lift the chest off the floor, roll the shoulders away from you, look forward, the elbows are bent. Exhale, tuck your toes under, come into your hands and knees. Bring the seat towards your heels and you're coming up into a downward dog. Bringing your feet slightly forward, so you're trying to bring the heels down towards the floor. Feet are hip width apart. On the first one, because we haven't really opened up the back of the legs, where on the inhale on the count of 5, you're bending the right knee, transferring the weight onto the left leg. On the exhale, you're bending the left knee, transferring the weight onto the right leg. Nice and slow movements, nothing too sudden, nothing too rushed. You're very gently opening up the back of your legs. Inhaling to the count of 5, exhaling to the count of 5. You're looking down towards your feet so your neck is nice and long. Last one here, inhaling to the count of 5, exhaling to the count of 5. On the next inhale, look towards your hands, bend the knees, start walking your feet towards your hands. Once you've reached the hands, keep your feet together and exhale, you're folding forward, letting go of the head. On the next inhale, you're coming up a little bit, so you're engaging the core. Bring your hands up towards the ceiling and exhale, hands by your sides. Second one, if you already found that that was your level, stay at that level. As long as you're getting a good, nice stretch, this is enough for you, okay? I'm gonna go one level up. Inhale, bring your hands up towards the ceiling. Exhale, you're folding forward. Inhale, press through the hands, look forward. Exhale, hands on the mat, add a step or jump into a high plank. On the next inhale, set the plank like you did on the first pose. On the exhale, you either bring the knees down to the floor like the first pose, or you're coming down halfway, bringing your chest forward so your shoulders are not rolling forward. And then on the next inhale, push the body through the hands, straighten the arms, looking forward, roll the shoulders away from you, look forward. Exhale, tuck your toes under, downward dog. Step your feet forward as you did on the first one. Set the legs so that you're trying to bring the heels down towards the floor, and now focus on the torso. Your hands are as wide as the shoulders, wrists in line with the top of the mat. Roll the shoulders away from you, squeeze the shoulder blades together. Now keeping the hands where they are, you're pushing your hands away from you, so you're trying to bring the torso towards the thighs. Tilt your pelvis under, squeeze the front of the thighs, so that basically you're pulling the kneecaps up, so you're protecting your lower back. Inhaling to the count of 5, exhaling to the count of 5. You're either looking towards your feet or you're pointing the top of the head down towards the floor. One more breath here, inhaling to the count of 5, exhaling to the count of 5. On the next inhale, you're looking towards your hands, either step or jump to the top of the mat. If you want to jump, you're coming on your tiptoes, bend the knees, look where you want to land, and then on the next inhale, squeezing the thighs together, you're coming to the top of the mat, keeping your legs as straight as you can. Exhale, you're folding forward. Inhale, engage the core, bring your hands up towards the ceiling, and exhale, hands by your sides. Last one. Inhale, bring your hands up towards the ceiling. Exhale, you're folding forward. Inhale, press through the hands, look forward. Exhale, hands on the mat, add a step or jump into a high plank. Inhale, set the plank. Exhale, add a low plank or knees to the floor. Inhale, up dog, and exhale, down dog. Bring all the elements together. Make sure you're tilting your pelvis under, engaging the front of the thighs, so you're really lengthening the back of the legs. If at any point you start to tremble
or you start to have pain in the hands, you're coming into child pose. So you're bringing your knees down to the floor, sitting on your heels, arms forward. Inhaling to the count of 5, exhaling to the count of 5. And then on the next inhale, you're looking towards your hands, either step or jump to the top of the mat. Exhale, you're folding forward. Inhale, engage the core, bring your hands up towards the ceiling, and exhale, hands by your sides. Everybody okay? So, we're gonna start with the feet hip width apart. And on the next inhale, you're bringing your hands parallel to the floor. Exhale, you're interlacing the fingers behind your back. Now what you want to do, you want to roll the shoulders back and squeeze the shoulder blades together. On the inhale, opening the chest, tucking the belly button towards the spine. And on the exhale, you're bending the knees. And first of all, you're resting the torso on the thighs, letting go of the head. Bringing your arms over your head, keep on squeezing the shoulder blades together. So you're protecting the front of the shoulders. Now, your choice here, you can either rest your torso on the thighs for the duration of the pose. This also protects your lower back if you've got any issues with lower back problems. Otherwise, you can see if you want to straighten the legs, point the top of the head down towards the floor, squeeze the shoulder blades together. Inhaling to the count of 5, exhaling to the count of 5. And then on the next inhale, come all the way up. Place your hands on the hips and you're stepping to the front of the mat. Now you can grab hold of the block and you're placing it in between the feet. So it's on the inside of the left foot. Hands on the hips. On the next inhale, you're stepping with the right foot 2/3 of the mat. Pointing the toes towards the top right corner of the mat. On the next inhale, you're making sure that you're straightening the right leg, keeping the right heel down towards the floor. And on the exhale, you're bending the front leg. On the inhale, you're placing your left hand on the block on the inside of your right foot, or you can put it directly onto the mat. And then on the exhale, you're turning the torso towards your right, bringing your right hand up towards the ceiling. And then you're trying to touch the left knee with your left shoulder or the left elbow, resisting with the arm. So basically you're pushing with your arm the knee out, and with your knee you're resisting that sort of pushing out, so that you're turning the torso towards your right. You're either looking straight ahead or you're looking towards your right hand. Inhaling to the count of 5. Exhaling to the count of 5. Roll that right shoulder back, bringing that right shoulder blade towards the spine, pointing the right hand up towards the ceiling. Last breath here. Inhaling to the count of 5. Exhaling to the count of 5. On the next inhale, you're looking down towards the floor. Exhale, you're bringing your hands parallel to the floor. Inhale, hands on the hips, and exhale, you're stepping to the front of the mat. Bring the block on the inside of the right foot. If you needed to if you needed the block, hands on the hips, you're stepping with your left foot 2/3 of the mat, turning the toes towards the top left corner of the mat. On the next inhale, bend the right knee, and either you're placing your right hand on the block or directly onto the mat. And then make contact between the right arm and the right knee, and then pushing with the right knee, you're resisting with the arm, and you're turning the torso towards your left, bringing your left arm up towards the ceiling and either looking straight ahead or towards your left hand. Inhaling, you're lengthening the spine. Exhale, you're turning the torso towards your left. Roll the left shoulder back, pointing the palms away from you, but pointing the hand up towards the ceiling. Making sure that left leg is nice and long, the heel is pointed down onto the mat, Inhaling to the count of 5. Exhaling to the count of 5. And then on the next inhale, looking down towards the floor. Exhale, you're bringing your hands parallel to the floor. Inhale, hands on the hips, and exhale, you step into the front of the mat. Give yourself a little bit of a shake. Move the block because you don't need it for the next pose. And then starting at the top of the mat with the hands on the hips, you're stepping out so that you're basically facing the length of the mat, and position the feet so that the edges of the feet are parallel with the edges of the mat. The toes are pointing forward, and you're putting the weight onto the edges of the feet, so you're lifting the inside of your arches. And then place your hands on the hips so that the thumbs are on the back and the fingers are on the side of the waist. Squeeze the elbows together on the inhale, open the chest, and on the exhale, sucking the belly in. You're folding forward, pointing the head down towards the floor, squeezing the elbows so that the elbows are pointing up towards the ceiling. Making sure you're still placing the weight onto the edges of the feet and keeping the legs as straight as you can, but not knees locked. So you still want a gentle bend on the knees so you're not locking the legs and the knees. Squeezing the elbows together. Inhaling to the count of 5. Exhaling to the count of 5. Pointing the top of the head down towards the floor. Neck is nice and long. Place the weight so that your weight is in the middle of the feet. So again, it's not too much on the front, neither on the heels. Last breath here. Inhaling to the count of 5. Squeeze the elbows together. Exhaling to the count of 5. And then on the next inhale, come all the way up. Micro bend on the knees. Bring the heels towards the center, toes towards the center, heels towards the center, and you come into the top of the mat. Give yourself a little bit of a shake. Okay, so now hands on the hips and feet hip width apart. You're stepping with your right foot 2/3 of the mat, pointing the toes towards the top right corner of the mat. You want to have your right foot further out than the front so that you've got this stability, and also you can square the hips towards the front. Now the right leg is straight. You're bending the front leg, but you still want to see the big toes. And then on the next inhale, suck the belly in, bring the arms up towards the ceiling, roll the shoulders away from you, and start looking up towards the ceiling as you're starting to bend slightly backward. Inhaling to the count of 5, exhaling to the count of 5. So really you're trying to roll the shoulders back, squeeze the shoulder blades together, so you're really feeling that basically you're pulling the shoulders back towards the spine, and then that allows them to open into the top of the shoulders. So the focus today is on the shoulders on this pose, not so much on the back. So you want to feel just a slight stretch on the lower back, but the main aim of this pose today is on the shoulders. So you're rolling the shoulders back, pushing the chest forward, looking either straight ahead or towards the ceiling. Last breath here, inhaling to the count of 5, exhaling to the count of 5. On the next inhale, bring your hands on the hips, straighten the front leg and step to the front of the mat. Give you a little bit of a shake. So when you're doing this pose, if you're looking at me, when you're bringing your arms forward, you're rolling the shoulders back. So you're really trying to bring the shoulder blades together here, okay? And bring them back. So you're engaging that latissimus dorsi, which is this muscle that sort of wraps around here. So when you're doing this, you're really trying to bring the shoulders down, okay? So feet hip width apart, hands on the hips, Maintain that hip width apart stance when you're stepping back with the left foot. Turn the toes towards the top left corner of the mat. Make sure you're squaring the hips towards the front. And then left leg is straight. You're bending on the next inhale, the front leg, sitting between the two legs. And then on the next inhale, suck the belly in, bring your arms up towards the ceiling. Now, if you're getting a bit too confused by bending backwards, start setting the arms here. So you're rolling the shoulders back, pulling the shoulder blades towards the spine and pulling them down. And then on the next inhale, suck the belly in and see if you want to start looking up towards the ceiling, slightly bending backward, but it doesn't really matter. You really want to do the work onto the shoulders. In and into the count of 5, roll the shoulder back, squeeze the shoulder blades together. When you're doing that, you're feeling the pull onto the front of the shoulders. Last breath here, in and into the count of 5. Exhale into the count of 5. And then on the next inhale, bring your hands on the hips, straighten the front leg and step to the front of the mat. Give yourself a little bit of a shake. Okay, we're going to do the balancing pose, which is the eagle pose. So we're placing all the weight onto the left leg and we're on the tiptoes of the right. It's 2 parts of this pose. So first we're setting the arms and then we're setting the legs. So squeeze the left glute. Imagine that your left leg is stuck in mud and put all the weight onto that left leg. So when you're lifting the right leg up, you're already in position. And then bring your arms parallel to the floor. And now you're bringing your left arm over the right, above the elbow, okay? So over the elbow, you're crossing the arms so that when you can twist the arms around and you're grabbing the palms together. If you cannot do that, you're just stacking the left elbow on top of the right and you're grabbing hold of the opposite shoulder, okay? Now, wherever you are, bring the elbows up so that the elbows are level with the shoulders and roll the shoulders back, okay? And then now we're setting the leg. So you start bending the left leg, lifting the right leg off the floor and you're placing the right knee on top of the left. And then you can also wrap that foot behind the calf and just focus on the arms, okay? If you want to go further, you can also fold forward, but I would suggest just focus on the arms. Keep that elbows level with the spine, with the shoulders. And then on the next inhale, first release the legs, so you're bringing the right leg down onto the floor, and then release the arms, giving yourself a little bit of shake everywhere. And we're going to do on the other side. So you're placing all your weight onto the right leg, tiptoes of the left, squeeze the right glute. On the inhale, bring your arms parallel to the floor, right arm over the left, above the elbows, so you're crossing them on the upper arm, wrapping them around, grabbing hold of the palms, otherwise right elbow on top of the left, grabbing hold of the shoulders, and then bring the elbows up so that they're parallel to the shoulders, roll the shoulders back, and then engage the legs. So lift your left leg off the floor, start bending the right leg, left knee over the right, focus on the shoulders. So roll the shoulders back, push the elbows up. One more breath here, in and into the count of 5. Exhaling to the count of 5. And then release the legs first, and then the arms, and give yourself a little bit of a shake. Okay, so now we're gonna go into the second part of the class. We're gonna do 3 poses pretty much, focusing on the shoulders. Okay, so you remember I was talking to you about the fascia. So this is basically more or less a myofascial release. The most important thing that you want to do when you're doing these poses is that you're not getting to the edge of your stretch, okay? So you want to start at about 60% of the stretch, and then within the 3 minutes where we're staying into this pose, you're gently allowing it to open, never getting to the point where you're feeling sudden pain or where you're feeling trembling of the arms or of anything, okay? Because if you get to that point, the collagen has got this helix sort of formation where it basically can stretch, it can lengthen, but it doesn't stretch. If you're doing a sudden movement, you're basically even tightening it up even more. So you just want to allow a gentle stretch that continues for 3 minutes, okay? So grab hold of pillows and you're placing them on the front of your mat. You can also use the block here. Actually, probably a pillow or block. What you're going to do, you're going to come onto your hands and knees and you're lying forward, okay? Now, actually, first of all, come into your hands and knees. You're basically bringing the arms forward. So you're basically bringing the arms into the front and then you're stretching yourself. So you're bringing your right arm above the left, where they're sort of meeting at the elbows, and then you're folding forward, using the pillows and the block to rest your forehead, okay? So you can use as many pillows as you need to allow the stretch. So the properties I was telling you about is about the property of the collagen and the connective tissue to lengthen, but it cannot stretch. And because it's made in a helix sort of form like the DNA, as you're giving prolonged stretch to the area, it allows to come to this full potential of lengthening. If you're bouncing into the pose, or if you're getting to a point where you're stretching too much and your body starts to tremble, you're bounding those fibers together and you're actually achieving the opposite result of stretching. So allow 60% to start with, very gently going to basically 80% of your stretch. Nice and long breaths. Inhaling to the count of 5, exhaling to the count of 5. And now come up a little bit, come onto your elbows. We're gonna do the opposite side. So you're bringing your left arm forward, so you're lying on your front, left arm above the right. You're stretching that left arm so the palms are facing up towards the ceiling and resting the forehead down onto the floor. You can use as many pillows as you need so that you're on a 60% stretch. The less, if you're bringing the elbows together, then obviously you've got less of a stretch than if you're stretching the arms out to the sides, okay? So get to about 60% of your potential, and then using the breath, nice and long breaths, inhaling to the count of 5, exhaling to the count of 5. Just visualize these helices inside your body in the areas that we're stretching, so all around your shoulders. And all these fibers of the connective tissues are all parallel to each other. But inside the fibers, they are made of a helix sort of shape. So imagine this helix shape unfolding and lengthening as you are allowing it to open. Allowing it to lengthen, inhaling to the count of 5, exhaling to the count of 5. directing the breath into these areas. Last few breaths here. Inhale into the count of 5. Exhale into the count of 5. Inhale into the count of 5. And exhale into the count of 5. And then on the next inhale, just come up on your elbows. Place your hands underneath your shoulders, come into your hands and knees, and come into child pose. And then very gently, you're coming back into lying down position, okay? Again, you want to have a pillow, maybe not so high this time, just a pillow onto the front of the mat. And what we're gonna do, we're gonna stretch the left arm out. So when you're looking at the arm, the palms is facing down towards the floor. So this is how your arm is, the left one. The palm is on the floor, and the hand is not higher than the shoulder, so it's either lower or parallel to the shoulder. The closer it is to the length of the shoulder, the more stretch you get. The lower down it is, the less stretch you get. So if you've got any issues on the left shoulder, start low down and then you can slide the arm up, okay? And then what you're going to do, we're gonna start rolling onto that left shoulder. So you're rolling the body, the head is pointing towards the right, so away from that left arm. And you can also bend the leg here. You can bring the right leg behind you or forward. It really depends on how much stretch you want to get. The right arm is forward, so you're sort of balancing yourself. And you should feel the stretch onto the front of the shoulder where it's touching the mat, but also on the back. You can roll all the way back. Again, just get to a point where you're getting 60% of the stretch. And then the other property of the connective tissue is that it's got this ability of becoming from fluid to viscous. And that's depend on how much hydrated the connective tissue is. The moment it starts losing water, it doesn't, so it basically the connective tissue acts as a lubricant, okay? So it glides in between muscles, and it allows a good movement of everything. The moment that starts to get less hydrated, it starts to stick, and that's when you get adhesions that we see as knots on different parts of the body, muscle knots. So keeping hydrated is another good contribution to good health of the muscles. Last few breaths here, inhale into the count of 5. Exhale into the count of 5. And when they say that we're made 70% of water, the water stays into the spaces in between the cells, mostly. And most of this water is absorbed by the connective tissue, which basically allows movement in the body. So the hydration of your body really has a big effect on your fascia and on your connective tissue. And then on the next inhale, start rolling back down. We're going to do it on the other side. So right arm stretch. Again, the palm is down onto the floor, The more parallel you are with the shoulder, the more stretch you're going to get. So if you've got a problem with your right shoulder, start quite low down and then turn the head towards your left. Prop yourself up with a pillow and then helping yourself with your left hand. So you're pressing your left arm onto the floor, rolling onto that right shoulder. And then you can bring your left leg behind you. Breathing into that area. So as you're starting with the stretch, going to 60% of the stretch. Don't bounce. You get to a point where you're feeling the stretch and it's almost like imagine this helix gently unfolding, lengthening. So you don't want to really jerk it. You just want to gently open it. So the key for having a subtle body is not the sudden stretch that you're doing where you're bouncing back and forward. Is this very nice and long stretch that you're allowing the body to have. And that's why it's very important that when you practice yoga, you're being kind to yourself. This goes back to what I was saying at the beginning. Be kind, allow your body to open up rather than forcing it into a pose. And then you're probably feeling now that as you're in this position for a minute or two, that the areas where you first had the pain or you feeling discomfort when you're doing the stretch have now gone. And perhaps the stretching or the sensation of stiffness is now moved to another area. So this is when you're really starting to create an effect on the fascia. In and into the count of 5, direct the breath into that area. Exhale into the count of 5. Last few breaths here. In and into the count of 5. Exhale into the count of 5. And then the last one here. In and into the count of 5. Exhale into the count of 5. And then very gently roll back to the front. Place your hands underneath the shoulders. Come into your hands and knees. And come into child pose again. So you're sitting on your heels. Your torso is supported by your knees that are together. Your forehead is onto the mat. Your arms are forward. Sitting on the heels, so you're really getting a stretch and you're allowing the lower back to open up. And then on the next inhale, just start walking your hands towards the body. And we're coming into a seated position onto the floor. So use the block to sit on the mat. I'm not really worried about the legs, so I'm more worried about the arms on this position, okay? So we're gonna do the cow face pose, but generally the legs are in a different position, but I just want you to come into a comfortable cross-legged position onto the mat, okay? So just come into that position. And if you think that your shoulders are quite stiff, grab hold of the belt, and with you're grabbing the belt with your left hand, and you're lifting your left arm up towards the ceiling so that the belt is coming down, and then you're bringing your right arm behind you, grabbing hold of the belt and bending the left elbow so that the left upper arm is basically touching the side of your head, And then with your right arm, you're grabbing hold of the belt and you're trying to keep your arms as tight as you can. Suck the belly in on the inhale, tuck the chin to the chest, and elongating the spine on the inhale. On the exhale, you're just allowing everything to open up. Just start lengthening the breath. Focus with your breath into any areas that feel uncomfortable or feel stiff, and then just direct the breath into that area, allowing it to open up. Now, when your upper arm is touching the head, sometimes it turns the head into funny positions, so you still want to have your neck nice and long, and then you're adapting the arm to the position of the core muscle being engaged, rather than having your neck coming forward, okay? So if you need to bring your arm out slightly, just do so. And really breathe into the arms, allowing them to open up. Inhaling to the count of 5 and exhaling to the count of 5. Make sure you're keeping your core muscle engaged. So as your spine is upright, then the shoulder will come into the right position. Whereas if you're bending with the back, then the shoulder will still acquire the same position as before. So by maintaining the right position with the core muscle, you're then almost guiding the shoulders in the right position. Last breath here, inhaling to the count of 5, exhaling to the count of 5. And then on the next inhale, just release the arms and just allowing them to just open up a little bit. So you're bringing the shoulders up towards the ears, rolling them back a little bit, and the other direction. This is a deep stretch. Okay, we're gonna do the other side. So grab hold of the belt with your right hand. You're bringing your right arm up towards the ceiling. And then you're bending the left elbow and you're bringing your left elbow behind, your left arm behind your back, grabbing hold of the belt. And then bend the right elbow, trying to bring the upper arm of the right arm as close as you can toward your head. Again, you're starting at a 60% stretch. Adjust so that your core muscle is engaged. So you're sucking the belly in, trying to nip and tuck in from the pelvic floor all the way up to the top of the head, opening the chest, tucking the chin under. And now you're adjusting the arms so that you can still maintain the spine upright while the arms are behind your back. Inhaling to the count of 5, exhaling to the count of 5. Breathing into any area of the arms and the shoulders that feel stiff. With this 60% increasing slightly, so as you get on with the 3 minutes of stretch, if you feel like now is sort of more open, then you can allow a little bit more stretch. So you're almost guided by your body and you're traveling with the body. As the body opens up, you can intensify the stretch. Inhaling to the count of 5, exhaling to the count of 5. So So you can intensify the stretch by bringing the left shoulder back towards the spine. That brings the elbow out slightly, but then it intensifies the stretch onto the front of the left shoulder. And then if you do the same with the right shoulder, bringing the right shoulder back towards the spine, then you do the same. Inhaling to the count of 5, exhaling to the count of 5. Last few breaths here, inhaling to the count of 5, exhaling to the count of 5. And last breath here. And then very gently release the belt, release the arms. And again, just start bringing yourself. So this time you can sort of alternate the shoulders. So one shoulder comes up and then the other one. And then the other direction. Okay. And now we're going to come to the last pose and then we're going to do a little bit of relaxation, okay? So you're coming into the middle of the mat, bend the knees, place your hands in front of your knees and roll yourself back, hugging the knees to the chest, chin to chest. You can use a pillow underneath your head if you want to. And what we're going to do, we're going to bring the arms out and we're going to cross the right knee above the left. So the right knee is on top of the left. And now you're bringing the legs towards the left side, keeping the right arm down onto the floor. This time the palms are facing up towards the ceiling. And you're trying to keep the right shoulder down towards the floor. If your knees don't touch the floor, use pillows underneath their knees. We're not going to stay here for long, okay? Inhaling to the count of 5, exhaling to the count of 5. And then on the next inhale, look towards your center, bring the legs back to the center. Undo the legs, hug the knees to the chest, reset the neck so that the neck is nice and long, chin to chest. And then bring the left arm out, bring the left knee on top of the right and bring the legs towards the side, the right side. If the knees don't touch the floor, then you can come onto your feet and then roll your head so that basically it's looking towards your left hand. Trying to keep the left shoulder onto the floor. Inhaling to the count of 5. Exhaling to the count of 5. Direct the breath in any area that feels tight or uncomfortable and just allowing it to open it up. And then on the next inhale, turn the head back to the center, bring the knees to the chest, hug the knees to the chest. And now we can go into the Shavasana, which is the corpse pose. Before you do that, let's do the supported Shavasana. So basically you can use one of the pillows, roll it up, and you're placing it in between the shoulders, okay? So as you're rolling that up, you're placing it in between the shoulders. You can also use towels if you want to. And you're lying your back on it, using a pillow also for your head. So that basically your chest is opened up to the front and you've got your arms to the sides, feet as wide as the mat.
making sure that the pillow also touches the lower back, okay? If it doesn't touch the lower back, then place a pillow underneath your lower back. This is when you're gonna need a couple of pillows. So you should feel that the pillow is in between the shoulder blades, and that allows the chest to open. Because we've worked a lot on the shoulders today, we're at the last resting pose, we just want to open the chest, which allows this part of the shoulder, the front of the shoulders, to open up. Palms facing up towards the ceiling, tuck the chin to the chest, tilt your pelvis under so as much as your lower back is on the floor. And now we're gonna just start relaxing different parts of the body. So we start relaxing the feet, relaxing the ankles. Bring your awareness to the calves, allowing them to open up. And now relax the muscles of your shin. Open up your knee joints, allowing them to relax. And just soften the muscles of your thighs. First the back of the thighs and then the front of the thighs. Going into your hips, allowing them to open up and releasing any tension from the joint. From the hips, you're traveling all the way across your buttocks into the middle of your glutes. And from there, you're going under and over your reproductive organs into the pelvic area. Releasing any tension you hold into the pelvic area. Traveling up the abdomen into the lower abdomen, so the area between the pelvis and the belly button. And now traveling up on the area between the belly button and the rib cage. Traveling up the rib cage into the breasts, the chest bone and the collarbones. Coming to the top of your shoulders. And now relaxing the back, either side of the spine, from the top all the way down to the bottom, starting from the space in between the shoulder blades, relaxing the shoulder blades, relaxing the middle of the back, and relaxing your lower back. Coming to the waist, traveling up the waist all the way up to the armpits, relaxing the armpits. And now relaxing the shoulders, the front, the top, the back of the shoulders and the armpits. Relaxing your upper arms, relaxing your elbows. Softening the muscles of your lower arms. Allowing the wrist to relax. And relaxing every muscle of your hand. Coming back to the top of your shoulders, relaxing the back of the neck, relax the front of the neck. Relax your chin, relax your lower jaw, your mouth, your upper lip, relaxing your nose. And now traveling from the nose all the way across your cheeks, all the way to the ears, relaxing the ears, relaxing your eye sockets, your temples, your forehead, the scalp, and the whole of your head. Allowing the body to relax and soften. And now just bringing your breath to the shoulder area. And just scanning the shoulders. And just sending the breath to any area of the shoulders that felt particularly uncomfortable as you were practicing today. Allowing them to open and soften and relax. Just spend the next few breaths in this area. And now very gently start bringing the awareness back to the rest of the body. Take a deep breath in through your nose and sigh out through your mouth. Take a deep breath in through your nose, and as you sigh out through the mouth, start wiggling your toes. Take a deep breath in through your nose, and as you sigh out through the mouth, start wiggling your fingers. And then when you're ready, start bringing your knees to the chest, if you can. And as you're lying onto the pillows, just help yourself up, rocking back and forward until you're coming up into a cross-legged position onto the mat. Bring your hands in front of your chest, close your eyes, and remind yourself of the intention you set out at the beginning of the class. Thank you for practicing today. Namaste. And if you've got